Hello and welcome to the first of our Beancast series, where we will be interviewing interesting people from around the world with the aim of bettering ourselves through travel, through YouTube and well-being.
And we are so delighted to announce our first guest. Today we've managed to snag ourselves Nick from Indigo Traveller. Very surprised to learn that he is a bean, and thank you so much for joining us, Nick.
No worries. I don't know if I can enlighten you guys on your well-being, but I might be able to have a chat.
Well, you never know. You never know.
So we have known each other for quite some time in terms
Quite a number
of
of
internet
years.
life.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the quarantine has been the first thing to bring us together.
Yeah, it's quite
Who would have
beautiful,
thought?
isn't it?
Nick is a fellow travel YouTuber and in his own words describes his channel as traveling misunderstood parts of the planet, showing the human side of what we read in the headlines.
So Nick, I have to ask you the first question to kick off the whole thing is, do you feel like the legend that you've become?
I have no idea what you're talking about. Next question.
That's why we love you. So humble. So, for people who haven't watched your channel before, what would you, as a starter for people who are coming over, what would you recommend for them to go to first? Like, what's the sort of thing that when you meet someone in a pub and they're curious, you're like, you've got to watch this series?
When I meet somebody in a pub and I'm like, I'm a YouTuber, just to let
Yeah,
everybody know.
Yeah. And you need to watch my videos.
Yeah. If people ask, like, what should I watch, I would say Venezuela.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think it like reflects well on kind of what I do. Whereas like maybe not the old stuff where I'm riding around Vietnam in a monsoon with like a $200 camera, probably not the best way to start. But yeah, I think Venezuela is good because it kind of shows what the channel's about, going to kind of misunderstood places and give the people a voice essentially is the goal. Yeah.
So why do you travel in this way? Like, was there a moment from when you were going to Bali and then you're like, actually, no, I need to go to Baghdad?
Yeah, I love that comparison. I saw it in the notes. I've actually never been to Bali or Baghdad, but yeah, great expression. There wasn't really a transition per se. Like, I always loved both, and I still do to this day. You know, I'm happy to go to Thailand. I love that place. But I also, when I first started traveling, went to places like Moldova. And like these kind of strange off the beaten path, they've always kind of interested me. So it was never kind of a shift, I don't think.
Did they interest you because people don't go there?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to that. And it's not just because like the hype of nobody goes there, but it's also because like then you get to see kind of a different world, a glance into a different world. And if something's saturated with tourism, you're not actually really seeing what it is, you know, so.
Did you do normal things? Would you like buy souvenirs when you go to these places?
It depends on the souvenir, you know. If it's good, you know, like if it's in like Afghanistan or something, I definitely had to get a souvenir. But if it's in something a bit more tame, maybe like Macedonia or something, probably leave that one out.
But would you? What kind of souvenir? Are we talking fridge magnets?
I have been known to buy the odd fridge magnet, yeah, or like
Really?
keychains and stuff. Yeah. You got to do it.
Nice. Like you were saying about like places that people don't normally go to. I know your North Korea series went huge. Like that was like millions of views, right? So when you went there, was that the reason why? Because you wanted to show people what to expect? Because I assume when you go there, it's a little regimented, and it is kind of what they want you to see, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, everybody's got kind of a weird obsession with North Korea, like, you know, I'm sure you guys too, right? It's just a fascinating place, you know? It's like the mystery, and when you put something off limits, everybody wants to know about it. So yeah, that was definitely a huge motivation. And as soon as I found out you could actually go, I was like, all right, well, what company am I going to choose, you know, kind of thing. Because I thought that it was locked off to everybody, but it's actually a lot more open.
As a YouTube travel videographer, would you look at North Korea and think that you're going to get a lot of views before you go there? Is that kind of how you decide stuff, or it's purely based on the destination?
Well, I mean, you've got to kind of find a balance, right? But I mean, of course, when you go to make videos in North Korea, you know, if you get out alive, you're gonna, you know, get some numbers stack up next to that video. So yeah, that's not necessarily like a deciding factor of it. I think that's more just it's you take it into consideration, but it's not like at the front of your mind like I'm going to go to Afghanistan for views or something. It's not like that, you know.
And I think it's still very acceptable, at least from our perspective as travel videographers, to take those things into account, at least when you're choosing a destination, because, you know, if you can make some money back on a destination...
And you want people to see your content, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to put all that time and energy into something and nobody's watching it. So I guess that's something else. And like when you were in some place like Korea, like how is it filming in that kind of environment? Is everyone pretty chill with you doing it? Do you have to let them know in advance?
Well, it's a grey area actually. Like, you have to sign a contract saying that you're not a journalist, and that you're not, going to expose them or something. Because that has happened in the past. People have pretended to be tourists and gotten out and represented the country badly. So I signed it, and I'm not really sure. Like, how do you categorize yourself? You know, like, are you a journalist? You're going to a place with a camera and talking about what's happening. So that was a little bit of a risk. Yeah.
Were you nervous as well? Because I know if I'm signing something in North Korea, like, I'm petrified.
Did you read every word of the document?
I mean, everything to do with North Korea makes you nervous, you know. So, I mean, I was waking up in the night before going and thinking, like, should I really do this? But the thing to remember about North Korea specifically is, like, thousands and thousands of tourists go there every year. And there's been one case that's been like blown up, and you know, it was the guy who pulled the poster off the wall.
Oh, that Otto guy, I think his name was.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, it's definitely
as long as you're not going to be that guy, then
exactly.
Cool.
yeah. I mean, there's other small cases and things, but it's generally safe. But we always get hung up on the extreme stories and things. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I guess that's like just in general people's view towards travel, especially places they deem as being scary or unsafe. They're basing that on what they've seen in the news anyway, right?
Exactly.
So, like, I guess that's kind of the point of your videos, is to show that that's not necessarily.
Yeah, definitely. But with the North Korea thing's a bit differently, because I don't want to be saying, you know, you guys don't know what the real North Korea is like. Like, it's not like that. Like, because it's not... Afghanistan, Venezuela, and North Korea are not places that I kind of promote as peaceful, calm places, whereas, like, Pakistan and Iran are, and they are safe. So there's, you know, different elements.
Yeah.
With North Korea, there's something I always think in my mind, is that I always have this image of like taking a video or a picture of something, and then some guy coming over and be like, no, and he'd like twist you 180 degrees to take a picture of the other side. Did anything like that happen?
Yeah. So they give you a full briefing of like photography rules and things when you arrive, and they say, you know, you can't take photo of the statues' heads unless the whole statue's in the frame, because they want to show how big they are. You know, they want everybody in the world to know how big they are, and they don't want to disrespect the leaders by cropping them. So there are certain rules to photography. Yeah,
has to be impressive.
Well, I guess that kind of leads us on then. Like, what's your craziest travel story? And internal, have you ever felt very unsafe in a place?
Yeah, there's a couple that come to mind. There's in Afghanistan, we were doing some work with UNICEF there, and we had like quite heavy artillery backup. We had like full kitted out Land Cruisers with bulletproof glass and doors and everything, and then like a convoy and escort of local police and things, military. And we pulled up to this old library because we were meant to be looking around and interviewing this political woman of the area, governor or something. And we pulled up, and there was so many guns and guys, and they were all from different groups. We had the Afghan security forces, the local police, then we had like paramilitary, and they were just all over the place. And there were bullet holes in the walls and things. And our security advisor gets out, and he's like, "We're not staying here. We're leaving now." You know. And so we got out of there. Yeah. So that's definitely one that comes to mind. Whereas in Venezuela, it's just the police are so corrupt there. We were driving, I hired a driver for a while, and we ended up becoming mates and things, so I kind of understood him by this stage. Otherwise it would be a bit full on. But we were coming towards a police checkpoint, and the police officer was waving us down, and he just steps on the gas in this huge Land Cruiser that he had with like off-road tires and everything, just guns it through the checkpoint, and the police guy, we look in the rearview mirror, I was like, what are you doing, man? And the police officer reaches for his gun, and we were like, oh god, what is this, you know? And then we went around the corner and nothing happened, and then another police officer drove past us like 3 k's down the road. So yeah, it's just
when I hear these stories, I can't help, like, I want to say something that's very like insightful, but I can't help but like relate it to our stupid pointless little travels. I just love this idea of like there's footage on the internet where I'm like, my biggest risk is how much I hate this McDonald's meal that I'm trying and I'm ripping into. And then you got Afghanistan, and it's just, I love the contrast. I love that you watch our videos. I love that we watch yours. It's just such a mismatch made in heaven.
Yeah, I mean, it's lovely, you know, and this shouldn't be like, none of these stories or anything should be taken as like kind of, you know, I'm the real traveler because I go to these places or anything like that's definitely not at all, and that's nothing that should be promoted. There's many reasons why it shouldn't, because, you know, you don't want, you know, to be putting yourself or others above yourself. That's not going to get you anywhere in life. And also, like, these kind of trips are not too good on the mental health, so I wouldn't really recommend them to many people. They can actually have quite a colossal hit on your, you know, like minor PTSD and things are something that I think kick in. So it's nothing like glamorous, you know.
Do you set aside, like, after these big trips to places, do you set aside like kind of a detox time afterwards where you just kind of like deal with everything? And
definitely. I give myself some time to just chill, you know, because it's a bit hard to go from that to straight and dive into something else. Last year was actually, you know, quite intense because things just kind of got out of hand and got these opportunities and just started taking them. I'm very happy I did and things, but, you know, it's a dangerous position because you're very fortunate. You could never dream in a million years you'd be getting these opportunities. Then you start like taking them, and then you're like coming home for like 2 days and you're flying somewhere else, and after a while then you just get colossally burnt out, and that's why I took a break. I mean, the whole word burnout, it's not one I like to use because it's thrown around quite a lot, but yeah, I mean, I was definitely exhausted, to put it that way. So yeah, it's not like a glamorous thing.
If there's any time to use the word burnout, there's probably a good time to use it. It's quite an extreme situation. It's not like you've gone to Benidorm and had a few too many and you come back and you're burnt out. Like, not really the same. So what do you actually do to switch off and to kind of wind down after these kind of massive trips where you've probably seen so much and experienced
We struggle
so much?
Just in ourselves, the type of travel we do. More so our struggle is with switching off from work and not work, especially working online. There's no clear defined moment. It's all on yourself. But for you, with that extra added spice, it must be so hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's always something that I'm working on, and I don't know if I've found a balance yet, but exercise is huge. Exercise and like diet and things, I think that's colossal, and like your mental health and things, and seeing the positive. So that would be my biggest you know, vice is these kind of things.
Do you have a daily routine, like anything you stick to, like you copy and paste in like each, like it doesn't matter what country you are, if you're at home, like is there anything you do specifically?
I do, but it never really lasts too long, and that's probably why I do what I do, because I get, you know, kind of you know, cold feet sometimes. So yeah. But
you exercise. How do you exercise on the road? That's something that we struggle with, and so we kind of just dealt with over time as you watch yourself get bigger over the years on video. And
the beauty of recording yourself and putting it online.
The travel lifestyle, you know, before travel, like I used to play, say, football 5 times a week. It's very easy to stay healthy and fit. But with a full-time travel lifestyle, it's a lot harder. There's always an excuse for an extra beer or to try this new food. Do you have anything that you do for that?
Yeah, I actually do a lot of intermittent fasting while I'm traveling. So I won't eat for like a lot of the day, and then I'll eat at the end. That's not just for like, you know, weight and things. That's also for, like, it's really good for your body. So I like to stick to that, and then maybe a couple push-ups. Sorry?
do you know 16/8? It's like you have 16 hours
Yeah,
where you don't
yeah,
eat
yeah,
and 8
yeah.
hours there.
Sometimes 23/1, but that's on extreme days. Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Wow, that 1 hour must be a crazy binge.
Tell me about it. Yeah. Get the curry lined up and I'll demolish it.
So when you travel, you often are traveling with a guide, or you hire drivers, things like that. How do you go about finding those guides or meeting those guides and actually deciding who's the best man for the job?
I've been traveling because I was traveling before I was filming for like 2 years, and so I just slowly over the years built up contacts that you meet, and like somebody who you met there might have been studying there from another country, and they might know somebody who knows somebody. So it's basically just people that I've stumbled into, and also my audience contacts me on Instagram and writes me messages saying, like, for example, come to Pakistan or something. So yeah.
Nice. So you often meet up with like subscribers and people who reach out to you?
A lot of the time.
Nice.
So have you used couch surfing before?
Yeah, I did when I was traveling, not filming. Yeah, all the time. That's all I was using. Yeah.
So I was wondering, for the people watching at home that are not necessarily going to be going to these kind of places, maybe they're going to, say, for example, Spain or Bali on holiday. Would you recommend maybe finding guides? Like when you travel without the video, do you travel without guides?
I definitely recommend, like, guides is a strong word, because when I hear the word guide, I think of like somebody with like a name badge, and but the people that I'd really try to meet up with, I try to kind of travel with them, stay in the same places, eat with them, hang out with them. So I would definitely recommend that, and couch surfing's like the best way to do that.
I think when I say guides, actually I probably would be better to say locals. So I think like that's something that we discovered is a great way to travel. It's a great way to make travel videos as well. Just the way our life has worked out, and the need for Wi-Fi and stuff, that we haven't been doing it as much anymore.
Yeah, and I guess it's also just a nice way to not go and do those touristy things that everyone else is doing, and you have like a local who knows all those nice secret spots, and they can help translate some stuff for you and just make life easier.
Yeah, definitely. Also, on the other hand, though, is sometimes you need to be like on your own, staying in your own place in a reasonably okay accommodation. You can't always be slumming it on some stranger's couch in India or something. So you want to break that up sometimes, and get a nice place. And sometimes exploring on your own is cool as well, because you also meet others that way. And so I like to do like, if I was to recommend people starting to travel or something, I would say like, get into couch surfing at the beginning, and then kind of understand if you like it or not, and then go from there.
Especially as a couple with couch surfing, a couple that work, I felt like if we were to go do that, like going to couch surfers while we're working, we're kind of taking too much. And I think the couch surfing experience like gets kind of convoluted with a lot of people that are doing it for the wrong reasons. They just want a free place to stay, not because of the experience. Sure. And I actually think that you should potentially even spend more money than you would have at a hotel when you're staying with a couch surfer, because you can buy them dinner and like invest in them and invest in that relationship.
I guess the other thing with couch surfing is you don't necessarily have to stay with the people, do you? You can just go and meet them for coffee. Some of our best experiences with couch surfing were people who couldn't host us, and they actually just showed us around, and we spent a lot of time with them. And I guess that's essentially like being a guide in a way.
Yeah, 100%. You can also like pay it forward as well. If you stay at somebody's house or something, you can like, if you see a traveller in the future that needs some help, just hook them up, like just paying forward's a good way.
Yeah, definitely. And you said as well, like, sometimes you don't want to be slumming it, you want to be on your own a bit. When you travel by yourself and you're not filming, it's like a proper holiday.
Yeah.
What kind of trips do you go on, and what kind of places do you stay?
Yeah, what do you do for fun?
I'm staying in the Marriott 5-star hotel. I like to go to places like Portugal and like just chill places where you can go and do a bit of hiking, see like nice European
beach
culture.
And mountains, that kind of thing.
Yeah, beach and mountains combo, definitely. Yeah, something low key, nothing like intense. Yeah.
Do you struggle to not film in these situations? Because for me and Emma, when we try and have a holiday, it's just we're conditioned now, and that we just want to film, and we can't even enjoy that relaxing time without filming.
I know. Yeah, it's almost like. If we go out without the camera, we regret not taking the camera with us, because we'll see something great, or
Yeah, definitely. I feel you. Like that. Originally, that's how it was, but nowadays, like I'm kind of aching for those times to not have the camera. Not to say I don't like filming. Obviously, I love it, but I definitely enjoy not filming for reasonably long periods at a time because it can get quite draining, as you guys know very well. So it's good to break it up. Otherwise, it's not sustainable in the long term.
What's your ideal like break period between your big trips?
It really depends. You know, a few weeks is ideal, I'd say. A couple of weeks.
Nice. Yeah, decompress. Do you usually, as soon as you get back from a trip, will that be when you start editing that series? Yeah. While it's
I mean,
fresh?
I'll do a bit of editing on the road, but majority of it's done, you know, after.
So one of our subscribers and patrons who is also a big fan of yours has sent us in a question, and he wants to know, is there anywhere that you want to go that doesn't fit with your channel's content/brand? Yeah,
I get this question a lot. No, I don't think so, and I'm not really sure what my brand is, so I don't know how to quantify that. But I mean, if there's places that I want to go and film, then I'll probably go and film there if I really want to. And the other places that aren't really appropriate, let's say like Portugal for my current style, then I wouldn't, you know, I'd just go there. Yeah.
So let's say Portugal, for example, doesn't interest you enough in terms of video to film.
It definitely interests me in abundance, but I think like I'm best in, you know, places that are. I'm more interested in filming places in the Middle East, Africa, and Asia than I am interested in filming Portugal. That's nothing away from Portugal. I love it. It could actually mean more for Portugal that I'd go there and you know. So
yeah, it's just holiday.
It's neither or that I prefer or that I don't want to film there, or it's just, you know, that's how it is. Yeah.
So for people who do, you know, just want to go on vacation to, you know, your Spains, your Portugals, places like this, but they want to have a bit more of an adventure. Also,
just put in a little side note that the people that just go to these, we're saying that from a European perspective.
Yeah, of course.
So let's say from yours, it would be, I guess, maybe say like Bali or something like that, or from America, there's like Mexico or something. There's not considered adventurous, but it's still an awesome place.
Like, what advice would you have for them for kind of making it more of an adventure than just your typical tourist vacation?
Right. I mean, I don't want to be like a guy kind of like preaching what others should be doing on the holidays. And again, I want to like really circle back to the like, you know, Spain isn't necessarily like a unexciting country or not exotic or anything. Like Spain is one of my favorite countries. It's incredible, you know. So again, just to reinforce that fact, but I would say, you know, just like go for walks in random places and turn down roads where you have no clue where they go and just see what happens. And, you know, sometimes put Google Maps down and just try to figure it out. That's kind of fun sometimes. Yeah.
One thing you're very good on your videos is that you're very, very good at getting other people on camera and just chatting to people. So if you were to go traveling on your own without the camera, do you talk to the locals, and how do you have that confidence? Because a lot of people I know definitely don't.
Yeah, I love having like little chats with locals and things if it's possible to get it going. It depends on the country and obviously language and things. I don't know, just say hi to people, you know, they love it. Also, the camera kind of brings attention to you from others, so they kind of want to know what's going on. But without the camera, then just, you know, start a chat, you know, go up to them and just,
For me, it's a bit of a snowball effect. Like, we're quite unconfident people, and even though we make videos, we're just not confident in general, just in life. And so like we've found it's kind of like ripping off the Band-Aid or a snowball effect, that once you start doing that and then you get these really positive experiences, and basically I can't remember a bad experience where we put ourselves out there in terms of filming or just in general travel, talking to people. So I'd highly recommend that as a thing, just to do it, even if you're scared. Exactly. Just do it.
100% agree with that statement.
Also, what equipment do you use when you travel? Because I guess, like, you know, going to these places, you don't want to have like bags and bags of equipment with you. What do you usually take?
I have like the full-blown Casey Neistat setup. You know, like the
have you got the little skateboard?
Yeah, skating through the streets of Pakistan. That's all good. No, it's just like it's just a Sony A7 III with a microphone on top and a Gorilla Pod. Just standard vlogging setup. It's nothing like, there's no secrets.
Yeah.
But I mean, getting started with filming and stuff, I get lots of questions about like what camera you're using, what lens specifically. It's like these things are irrelevant. It's all about the story, and most people will, especially if they're starting, they'll make better videos on a GoPro than they will if they buy a high-end camera and they don't really know how to use it. So GoPros these days are incredible. So
my rule for those kind of questions is always just start. Because especially for people with YouTube, they always say, "Oh, I'm nearly ready to start my channel," and on the most part, it's like you could make the content, you can make those mistakes because no one's watching when you're starting.
It's the best time.
This idea that you're going to start making videos and people will see it, get past that because no one's watching.
You should see some of our old stuff. It is shocking.
But make those mistakes nice and early. Just get used to editing, get used to filming, and then the good stuff will come.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's the same. Like every YouTuber, every huge YouTuber with like 10 million subscribers or something, you go back to their first videos and you're like, wow, what a journey.
What a journey.
But I kind of like that. I mean, I know some people who they've deleted some of their older videos that perhaps they're not so happy with going back and watching now. But I think that's all kind of part of the progression, is going back and cringing at your old self, making some terrible video and trying to be something you're not.
And old stupid haircuts and things that you just don't know why you would have that.
Well, that intrigues me then, is like, how did you see your life planning out? Did you always want to be a full-time YouTuber, or in what other alternate universe is Nick doing?
I have no idea, and like, I don't know if that's a road that I always like to entertain, because, you know, living life through like what ifs and things, like, I don't know what I could be doing. I could be in New Zealand, or I could be, you know, working in a country not making videos or something, but yeah,
But you didn't have a plan per se. So like, say for example, in my perspective, before I went travelling, I interviewed for being a journalist for the BBC. To work for the BBC was my kind of absolute dream. And then I started travelling, and then travel became a dream, and then the same dream that I had before with videos and stuff, I just put those two together, and that's kind of where we are. I never planned to be here, but things fell into place with what I wanted to be. So before you started filming, you didn't have anything that you planned to be?
I mean, I did studies and things, but I just felt like I was doing that for like my family and for kind of society, and I felt like I was just ticking that box so I can just go and like discover what I want to do, because I mean, to have this kind of pressure that at the age of 18 then you have to have the rest of the other 60 years of your life mapped out, that's just absolutely outrageous. And
it's absurd.
So I mean, I never really had a plan and set, but it just kind of unfolded like that. So
yeah, I completely agree with you. I think it's outrageous, and for me, for sure, the reason I went to university was only to keep like you said, ticking the boxes, stalling. I think our parents' generation maybe dropped the ball a little bit, at least in terms of England, of funneling people through to university.
It was expected, I think, for a lot of people.
It was extremely expected, and I, like myself, was the first in my family, a lot of first in their families, and this promise that you just go and get a degree and everything will be okay. And I think it was crazy, and I wish that the money that I spent on that, I'd spent on travel or spent on the hobby or something that I wanted to do.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, it's just the pressure is just incredible, and you know, people saying, "Oh, I wish I could do that," or "I hate my job," or you know, it's like the decision is right in front of you to make. So you know, pick it up. You just got to make that first step. That first step's the hardest, but once you make it, then you know the world's your oyster.
So you are a consumer of YouTube content.
Big time.
Who inspires you on YouTube? Who do you watch the most of? Who are your like guilty pleasures on YouTube?
I mean, I love you guys, obviously.
Obviously, you have to say that.
Yeah, I'm a big consumer of YouTube. It's like part of the reason that I got into it, because I loved it so much. Like most travel bloggers that I watch, like any travel blogger you could think of right now, probably watched a few of their videos.
So that's interesting. I feel like we don't always watch travel content
because we're not consumers of it at all. And it's kind of weird. Our journey for making videos on YouTube was kind of like, we didn't even know vlogs existed. We made videos for a year before we even heard the word vlog. I didn't know there was this content out there. We met someone that was like, oh, this sounds a little bit like Casey Neistat. I'm like, who's this? I'm like, oh wow, this is kind of cool. We didn't really know that there was footage. I wonder if we'd have known it was out there if we'd have even started, because we kind of made it because we couldn't find any of it.
Watching people like Nick.
We were doing the Trans-Siberian train and we couldn't find any videos on it that we wanted to watch. It was all stuffy old stuff. And I believe that stuff was out there if we'd have searched vlog. I just had no idea.
So instead we made our own terrible version of it.
What you say about, Casey was probably like the pinnacle, right, of most vloggers' inspiration to start. I mean, how could it not be? So
Yeah, of course.
So what about, say, like for our subscribers and stuff, they're obviously going to check you out. They've got an obligation now. But what about some other travel YouTubers, even for ourselves as well? Yeah,
like if they like you, who else would they like that you think would be suitable?
I'm not sure. Maybe like Endless Adventure. I love their videos. You know, great guys and great editing. Like production values out of this world. Bald and Bankrupt's. I like. He's an entertaining guy. He goes to some weird places as well. So.
Don't say the Budgeteers, because I know Paddy will be watching this, and I don't want him to have anything. I don't want him to be happy.
Yeah, don't check out the Budgeteers.
No.
Definitely not. Final question. We know you're pretty secretive about where your plans are with travels, and obviously you can't go far right now, apart from maybe back garden. But what can people expect to see coming up on your channel?
Good question. Like, that's a question I'm asking myself all the time. But more of the same kind of style of videos. Going to be, doing some independent trips, and then also some trips with UNICEF again. So,
Nice.
trying to find the balance between like covering topics that I feel need to have a light shine on them, and then also happy stories like, Pakistan and Iran's kind of like the happy series, Venezuela and Afghanistan the opposite. So trying to find a balance, maybe a bit more happy ones, because I don't know if it's good for the mental health to keep slamming yourself like that. Yeah.
Where would you recommend for us, as you know the type of travel we do and stuff, but we're always very open. Where would you think that we should go? Like you said, you got the happy series, so maybe one of those two places. Yeah,
definitely. Seeing as you guys are Brits, Iran will be an issue because you need like a 24-hour guide. But Pakistan, you could go to Iran with a guide. It would still be amazing. The Iran and Pakistan are up there as two of my favorite. So yeah, one of those two, and I would love to see you guys there. It'd be amazing. Walking down the streets of Karachi.
Complaining about the food that I've got, it's a bit cold. I'm used to a certain type of living back in England, and I expect that everywhere around the world.
But that's what makes you guys so great, because I remember, Emma, you were like, you guys made a food video the other day, like the weirdest foods that you tried.
Oh yeah.
And like Emma bites into this thing and she's like, that's fucking vile. Like, it's golden, because you never see other YouTubers like, doing that. Well, I mean, there's a lot of transparent YouTubers, of course, but like you guys are just so to the point and brutal with it. It's cool to see.
I think the way I look at it is, if somebody comes to England and shits all over our food, I don't care. So I feel like
I would encourage it. I really would. And people always comment that, like, "What? How would you like it if we come and did this?" Like, you don't understand us. We would love it. We would love it so much.
Come to us.
And like you can't be expected to like every single food that you try in a foreign country just because it's in a foreign country, So
exactly.
We had some friends in the YouTube world that we've seen turn the camera off the moment they realise they don't like the food, and it's just something that we just always found strange. This idea of like censoring, but you're not censoring it to anyone.
No.
Like you're so it doesn't really matter.
It's not like the country's paying you for the video. Like you're gonna make it regardless, and it's your experience, right? Like sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the audience, like, they should appreciate the lows and the highs. It's not like if you say that you had a bad day or you had an overwhelming time or something, that's that you're a bad person because you're not saying it was. You hate the country
and you hate the people. And
it's not at all. It's actually the opposite. If somebody tells a bit of like truth like that, then you can more rely on their opinion, I think.
We spoke briefly last week on a video call, and you insisted that I do something at the end of the call. which I've never done for anyone in a call form.
Personal call.
I'm wondering, is there any chance we could get you to do it?
In case I don't see you, mean?
Yeah,
Or
is there any
beans out.
chance you could? Yeah, if you could.
Ah,
if you
okay.
could- is there any chance we could get Indigo Traveller to do it? I also
Of
understand
course.
if you don't want to do it.
No, I mean, it's an honour. I can't believe you've asked
Okay,
me.
okay, that's a dream. That is an absolute dream.
Amazing. So thank you very much for joining us, Nick.
Thank you for your time. Seriously,
Yeah.
very much appreciated.
And thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to Indigo Traveller. Don't forget to subscribe to us, more importantly. Like, leave a comment. And I think instead of Alex today, we're going to leave the beans out to Nick.
I'm a proud boy here.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Beans out.